Hello everyone, and welcome to True Crime Inspector. Today, we delve into another chilling case. Official statistics reveal a staggering truth. Tens of millions of individuals disappear each year worldwide. Among them, roughly 1/3 are fortunate enough to be located alive and unharmed. Tragically, nearly half are discovered after a period of time, either deceased due to accidents or victims of foul play. Perhaps most hauntingly, approximately 2 million people vanish without a trace annually. This last category, those who disappear leaving behind no clues or closure, often remain a perplexing mystery for years. The spotlight today shines on the enigmatic vanishing of Agnes Klavina, a young and exceptionally attractive woman whose night of revelry in a club with friends took a dark and inexplicable turn in the fall of 2014. The individuals who may have played a role in her disappearance seemingly managed to evade any accountability. However, in an astonishing twist, it was in 2023, 9 long years after this tragic event, that the case took an unexpected and dramatic turn. Join us as we unravel the perplexing details. Our focal point today, Agnes Klavina, was born on July 8, 1984, in the Latvian capital, Riga. Growing up in a typical family, she was the younger of 2 daughters. Her sister, Greta, only a couple of years older, shared a close bond with Agnes. Their parents worked diligently to provide their daughters with a quality education and the chance to pursue their aspirations. Agnes was a vibrant and sociable individual from a young age, excelling academically, participating in sports, and surrounded by a multitude of friends. She harbored dreams of forging a career in the realms of tourism or entertainment, fueled by her passion for travel and her knack for organizing memorable leisure experiences. Moreover, Agnes possessed striking looks and an alluring figure, attracting the admiration and compliments of many. She garnered numerous admirers who vied for her attention throughout her life. After completing her secondary education, Agnes briefly worked in the service industry, while concurrently enrolling in language courses and pursuing studies to become a tourism manager. At the age of 20, she made a life-changing decision to leave her homeland, Latvia, and relocate to the misty allure of London, England. She believed that London would provide her with greater opportunities to unlock her full potential and talents. Remarkably, her parents and older sister fully supported and endorsed her decision. Shortly after her relocation to London, the striking blonde, Agnes Klavina, crossed paths with a man named Michael Mills. Michael, 8 years her senior, boasted an impressive education and owned a thriving business empire, including a small cinema and entertainment complex, establishing him as a prosperous and accomplished individual. Agnes and Michael quickly established a strong connection, leading to the commencement of their romantic relationship. Michael showered Agnes with lavish gifts, and they embarked on adventures together, weaving intricate plans for their shared future. Their love was palpable, seemingly destined for a lifetime of happiness. Those close to Agnes recall that Michael was her first true love. She radiated joy in his presence and harbored dreams of becoming his lawful wife. In 2014, an opportunity arose for Agnes, a 3-month job offer as an administrator at one of the largest and most renowned nightclubs in the Spanish coastal town of Marbella. Accepting the position meant temporarily relocating to another country, a prospect Agnes was eager to embrace. Unfortunately, due to his professional commitments, Michael couldn't accompany her to Spain, but he fully supported her decision to sign the contract. For Agnes, this opportunity represented a chance to explore a new career path, amass invaluable experience, and potentially chart a course for further growth and development in this realm. It's worth noting that Marbella stands as one of the most illustrious and enticing Mediterranean resorts, attracting visitors from around the globe, primarily affluent individuals seeking leisure and extravagance. In this vibrant place, you could frequently come across celebrities from the world of show business, famous athletes, and prosperous businessmen. Agnes Klavina, naturally outgoing, relished working in such a glamorous setting. Before her move, she paid a visit to her family in Latvia, sharing the news that she had secured an enticing 3-month job contract. She also delivered another piece of heartening news. Upon her return to England, she and Michael intended to tie the knot. Agnes's father, mother, and sister rejoiced genuinely for her and offered their best wishes. In late May 2014, Agnes, packing only the essentials for a single season, embarked on her journey to work in sunny Spain. Her beloved remained in London, but they maintained daily contact, engaging in video calls to share every detail of their lives. Agnes actively curated her presence on various popular social networks, regularly posting photos, brief videos, and stories. She amassed a considerable following of individuals who closely followed her adventures and endeavors. It was evident that Agnes was leading an engaging and fulfilling life, savoring each day. After the culmination of her work contract, Agnes decided to extend her stay in Spain for a few additional months. The onset of the resort's peak season presented lucrative earning opportunities. She consulted with her boyfriend, and he wholeheartedly supported her decision, even promising to visit her since they had been apart for an extended period and deeply missed each other. Agnes quickly secured a position as a hostess at a prestigious restaurant and renewed her lease. In September, as planned, Michael paid her a visit. During his stay, they reveled in each other's company, planned their upcoming wedding, and deliberated on honeymoon destinations. Less than a week later, the young man returned to London, and Agnes anticipated working in Spain for another month before visiting her relatives in Latvia and finally reuniting with her beloved in England. Regrettably, fate had different plans in store. On September 6th, Agnes, accompanied by her friends, headed to one of the popular night spots in the region, the Costa del Sol nightclub. A few hours prior, she had phoned her fiancé, who was fully aware of her plans and had no objections to Agnes enjoying a night out with her friends. The group of young individuals had a great time, capturing moments together in photographs, some of which Agnes promptly shared on her online profile that very night. As per the recollections of those who saw her on that fateful evening, the radiant blonde was dressed in an eye-catching short dress and carried a small white clutch handbag. As the night transitioned into the early morning hours and the group prepared to depart, Agnes expressed her intention to stay a while longer and then take a cab. Given her reputation for responsibility and sobriety, her companions saw no reason for concern. At the moment of their parting, as her friends bid farewell and headed for the exit, Agnes was engaged in conversation with a man who had bought her a cocktail and seemed intent on winning her favor. Yet, from that night onward, Agnes Klavina vanished without a trace, as if she had simply disappeared into the bustling nightclub. No one could recall the time of her departure, or with whom she had left the establishment, and her subsequent whereabouts remained a mystery. The following day, Agnes failed to show up for work, and attempts to reach her by phone proved futile as her device was switched off. Concerned colleagues and friends were the first to sound the alarm, although the police response to the missing persons report was notably delayed. Later in the evening, a concerned Michael reached out to Agnes's mother, expressing his distress over being unable to reach his fiancée throughout the day, an unprecedented occurrence. The following day, Agnes's parents and Michael collectively made attempts to contact the Spanish authorities to report her disappearance. However, they were informed that the missing persons report had to be filed in person by the family, otherwise it would not be processed. Subsequently, Michael and Agnes's family swiftly boarded the next available flight to Marbella. Regrettably, the missing persons report was officially submitted 5 days after Agnes had mysteriously vanished. Their initial point of inquiry was the apartment Agnes had been renting. It appeared as though the owner had momentarily stepped out, with documents, money, and a few valuable pieces of jewelry neatly in place. The refrigerator held freshly prepared meals, and on the bed lay a selection of outfits from which Agnes had likely chosen her attire for her last night at the club. Evidently, Agnes had not returned to her apartment since that fateful evening. Her phone remained switched off, and her presence on social media ceased, leaving messages unanswered. It was only at this juncture that the police initiated an investigation into her disappearance, although crucial time had already elapsed. Agnes's friends and family began disseminating flyers throughout the city, bearing her image and pleas for assistance in locating her. The media also took up the cause, featuring the story in television news broadcasts and prominently displaying Agnes's photographs on the front pages of local newspapers. The first leads and clues began to surface once the police scrutinized the CCTV footage from cameras positioned both inside and outside the nightclub. Nevertheless, complications arose as all the files had already been erased, prompting the authorities to enlist the help of specialists to recover the data. Their efforts were not in vain, as one particular recording, captured by a camera situated at the parking lot exit, revealed a distressing scene. Around 6 o'clock in the morning, Agnes was seen leaving the club with a man, clearly against her will. This critical piece of footage, depicting Agnes alive, was subjected to meticulous examination. However, the more closely the experts analyzed it, the more unsettling it became. A man of imposing stature was seen leading Agnes, his grip on her waist unmistakably constricting her movement. Agnes appeared visibly frightened, attempting to break free on several occasions and engaging in emotional conversation with her captor. He persistently guided her toward the parking lot, where he forcefully ushered her into a Mercedes A63 with tinted windows. At the moment when the imposing man was pushing her into the vehicle, it became apparent that another man was already inside. As the first man made his way to the driver's seat, Agnes managed to open the car door in an attempt to escape. However, at that moment, the nightclub doorman who had been standing nearby approached them, and the driver made a gesture and said something. The doorman then forcefully pushed Agnes back into the car, and the driver handed him what appeared to be a cash reward for his assistance. Approximately 6 minutes after Agnes had entered the car, her phone was turned off, never to be reactivated. Tracing the vehicle's movements proved impossible due to the absence of CCTV cameras along the route. It became evident that the men inside the car were the last to have contact with the missing woman. Strikingly, the case was shrouded in secrecy right from the outset. All individuals involved in the investigation signed non-disclosure agreements, and information was not only withheld from the media, but also sparingly shared with Agnes's loved ones. For the initial months, her parents and fiancé were kept in the dark, receiving only vague updates about the ongoing investigation. With Agnes failing to provide any information during this period, hope dwindled for her well-being. In the car's passenger compartment sat his longtime friend named Craig Porter, who had no discernible occupation and was periodically on the police's radar. The third occupant was a dark-skinned doorman named Kian Usman. Both Porter and Usman staunchly maintained their innocence during interrogations, asserting that Agnes had entered the car willingly. According to Capper's account, he and a friend had noticed the beautiful blonde in the club and approached her to introduce themselves. Allegedly, Agnes was already somewhat inebriated, which contradicted the testimonies of her friends, but she didn't decline when they offered her a drink. Wesley then proposed continuing the evening at his opulent countryside residence, to which Agnes purportedly agreed. However, once inside the car, Agnes allegedly had a change of heart regarding the private party at Wesley's house and requested to be dropped off in the middle of the road, stating her intention to hail a taxi home. Wesley claimed to have complied with her request, disembarking her at an unlit stretch of road that was unfortunately devoid of CCTV cameras. Craig Porter, due to his own state of inebriation, could neither confirm nor refute Wesley Capper's account. According to his confession, he was also heavily intoxicated and couldn't recall when or how Agnes entered their vehicle. Porter further stated that he fell asleep shortly after leaving the parking lot and only awoke to find Agnes missing from the car. The third individual under suspicion, the doorman Kian Usman, attested that Agnes Klavina appeared to be intoxicated but couldn't definitively say whether she had entered the car voluntarily. However, he did confirm that when the car was moving, Agnes opened the door and nearly fell out. Following the driver's request, Usman subsequently closed the door and was rewarded with a substantial tip. When questioned about whether he found it unusual for Agnes to attempt to exit the moving vehicle, he reasoned that he believed she may have inadvertently opened the door due to her intoxicated state. He added that Agnes didn't scream or seek assistance. The recorded footage clearly depicted Wesley Capper forcefully guiding Agnes to the car, maintaining a firm hold on her waist and wrist. Wesley's defense asserted that Agnes was feeling dizzy, and he was merely ensuring she wouldn't stumble and fall. At a later stage of the investigation, an intriguing yet disconcerting video came to light. It had been filmed in Soto Grande, in the southern part of Spain, at the Puerto de la Duquesa port. It featured the luxury yacht of John Capper, a millionaire who happened to be the father of one of the suspects. Dated September 10th, just 4 days after Agnes's disappearance, the footage depicted Wesley, Craig, and 2 other individuals boarding the yacht. They were carrying a substantial suitcase which, judging from the video, appeared quite weighty, along with a rolled-up carpet. However, upon their return to Puerto de la Duquesa a few days later, they were conspicuously absent any luggage. When confronted with this footage, Capper explained that he and his friends had sailed to Ibiza for some enjoyment. He claimed the suitcase contained their personal belongings, and the item mistaken for a carpet was, in fact, bedding. Nevertheless, he was unable to account for what subsequently happened to these items. A thorough search of Wesley's yacht and vehicle yielded no results, as both had been meticulously cleaned and dry cleaned, eliminating any traces of DNA. However, a long blonde hair was discovered in the car's trunk, yet its origin could not be determined, as this crucial evidence inexplicably disappeared during the course of the investigation. During the trial, the prosecution presented another curious detail. A few hours after Agnes had been in the defendant's car, Capper made several calls to the emergency services, but each time he abruptly terminated the calls without waiting for a response, as if he were apprehensive or uncertain of his actions. Capper attributed this behavior to his intoxicated state, claiming the calls were made haphazardly. The Klavin family's lawyer asserted that, in his opinion, Agnes had long since perished, and her body rested somewhere on the seabed, concealed within the very suitcase the suspects had taken aboard the yacht. Furthermore, he believed the case had been intentionally delayed, affording the culprits ample time to eliminate any incriminating evidence. Only a year and a half after Agnes's disappearance did Capper, Porter, and Usman find themselves in the courtroom. They faced charges related to restraining Agnes against her will and forcing her into a car. However, due to a lack of conclusive evidence, no further charges could be brought against them. Moreover, the millionaire and his friend were released on bail and quietly exited the courtroom. Understandably, Agnes's relatives were infuriated by this turn of events, but the judge remained resolute in his decision. All 3 men didn't face trial again until 2019, nearly 5 years after Agnes's disappearance. They continued to deny their guilt, maintaining that Klavina had willingly entered the car. The prosecutor argued that the doorman should be considered an accomplice to the crime for assisting the defendants in driving the victim away. Usman faced the potential of a 5-year prison sentence for his role. In response, he delivered an impassioned speech, asserting that he was implicated due to the color of his skin and his inability to afford a competent lawyer, as all the money he earned was sent to support his impoverished family in Africa. Capper and Porter's defense attorneys contended that their clients were only guilty of persuading Agnes to enter the car, not of forcing her. They argued that after she was dropped off on the road as she had requested, Agnes, in her inebriated state, could have been abducted and harmed by third parties, as she would have been vulnerable and unable to offer much resistance. The judge's verdict left Agnes's relatives surprised and angered, as none of the defendants received any substantial punishment. Usman was acquitted of all charges. Capper received a 2-year sentence for taking advantage of Agnes's intoxicated state to convince her to enter his car, and Porter was handed a 6-month sentence for complicity. In reality, both men received suspended sentences, and did not spend a single day in prison. Instead, they were ordered to pay a mere £10,000 in compensation to Agnes's family. The decision disheartened Klavin's family, leading them to file an appeal. Subsequently, it was discovered that both defendants, while awaiting the court's decision, had committed further criminal offenses. Capper, in a state of alcoholic and drug-induced intoxication, fatally struck a woman with his vehicle and fled the scene. Porter and a friend, also under the influence of alcohol, stole a car after brutally assaulting its owner. Remarkably, even for these serious crimes, Capper received only probation, thanks to the skilled defense presented by his lawyers. Capper paid a significant sum in compensation to the family of the woman who tragically lost her life under the wheels of his car. He remained at large, living a life of debauchery. However, Porter was less fortunate and found himself incarcerated again, but specific details about his sentence are not available in public sources. In 2021, nearly 7 years after Agnes's disappearance, the primary suspect in the case faced his own reckoning. Wesley had been leading a morally questionable lifestyle during this period, marked by alcohol and substance abuse, which had severely affected his health. During the peak of the COVID-19 pandemic, he found himself in a hospital bed, and just when he thought he had overcome the illness, he suffered a sudden stroke. Wesley Capper passed away on July 26, 2021, at the age of 44. Subsequently, Agnes's parents filed another appeal with the court. However, with the main suspect now deceased, no further prosecution could take place regardless of the Supreme Court's decision in this complex case. 9 years after Agnes Klavina had disappeared without a trace, her fate took an unexpected turn in the summer of 2023. In mid-June, a gardener at one of the exclusive golf clubs, La Quita, located in the Costa del Sol region, discovered an unusual object near the coast while cleaning the area. Upon closer examination, it turned out to be an old, badly damaged suitcase. The man who discovered the suitcase did not dare to open it himself and promptly contacted the police. Upon opening the suitcase, law enforcement officers uncovered human remains. Subsequent examinations revealed that the bones belonged to a young woman whose age at the time of death ranged between 25 and 35 years old. Additionally, it was determined that the suitcase, along with the body inside, had spent approximately 10 years in the water before washing up on the shore. Based on these findings and comparing the evidence, the police put forth a hypothesis that the body in question might belong to Agnes Klavina, who had disappeared 9 years earlier. To definitively confirm this, further examinations and comparisons of Agnes's DNA with the recovered remains are currently underway. As of now, the details of the investigation have not been disclosed to the public. If the suspicions are substantiated, it would provide grounds to reopen the case and potentially bring the surviving suspects to trial. Thank you for watching True Crime Inspector, and please subscribe to the channel for more shocking stories in the future.